Hello, everyone. All right, so now it's time for our signature segment, See the Stories. Now, Kai, aside from being here, we have to sit for like 3 hours, right? But do you sit for extended periods of time when you're working in other places?
No, not always. I consider myself quite lucky, actually, that I get to walk whenever I want to walk. Unless I'm on cam, of course. Not that I'm disappearing on you. But no, not. I used to, though, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
now
you
not
did
anymore.
the 9 to 5.
I did the
How
9 to
was
5.
that? But
Exhausting.
sitting down, and did you have problems with it?
I had problems with that. I have problems sitting down. That's the problem.
All right, so a friend of mine who works in an office said that she felt her posture changed due to prolonged sitting. And today we'll discuss this issue with a physiotherapist. But before all that, let's take a look at this story.
So the side effects for sitting too long or continuous sitting can be quite serious. Those who sit for extended periods of time often experience health problems, namely neck and back pain.
Prolonged sitting can also lead to mental issues such as increased stress and fatigue. Therefore, it is important for us to be aware of the negative effects of prolonged sitting and find ways to move or take breaks to stay healthy.
So Nicolas is already here with us. He's a physiotherapist. Hi, Nicolas. How are you doing?
Hi, Kai. I'm good. Thank you for. Very glad to be here today.
Yeah. So Nicolas, this is, I think, quite a common issue for everybody who has to go and work in the office for an extended amount of time, right?
Yep.
So how can sitting for a long time, especially in the office, really impact our posture, if you may?
Well, because the human body is actually created to move and not to stay in certain position for too long. So now the modern human will do the 9 to 5, like all of us, almost all of us. And that is actually quite bad for health because our body stays in a very fixed position for too long. And that not only causes increases your risk of having musculoskeletal problems, things like back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, but also a multitude of other conditions, things like increases our risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and mental health. So it's actually very detrimental to our health.
Wow. So what usually kind of postural problems does occur when we sit for a prolonged amount of time? I remember the 9 to 5 was really difficult for me because it was really heavy around the neck because you're in front of the computer, or sometimes you have to look down for a very long time, Yeah.
Well, the textbook problem that we observe is like a forward head posture where we are slouched like that and then go forward like that.
Yeah.
But any sustained posture is actually quite bad. So even if you stand like this for 16 hours, if you sit like this for 16 hours, you are likely to going to have some problem as well. So the best idea is actually to keep moving and changing to different postures.
So you were doing good, taking breaks and everything.
Oh no, there was a time it was not possible.
All right, so when you're sitting down, apparently it's important to have a core strength, right? So can you explain the role of core strength and stability in reducing the effect of prolonged sitting on us?
Well, technically, when we are saying core, there are certain muscles in the abdomen that sort of help to stabilize the back, and that sort of help us when we're moving. Not only when we're sitting, but say when we're moving, when we're lifting, when we're doing certain activities to sort of stabilize the back. But it's also good to have aerobic fitness. Things like cardiorespiratory fitness, because that also reduces a lot of the that also have some bumper effect from some of the detrimental effects that we said before.
So actually, there is no solution to being able to sit for a very long time because we're never supposed to be sitting for a very long time. If I summarize correctly what you said, because even if we have core strength, we'll still be uncomfortable after sitting too long. How long is actually the maximum before we have to walk?
Well, ideally, probably an hour or so, then we sort of move around, stretch around, walk around, change our posture. So the one thing to minimize the bad impact is actually to just change your posture, because when you're sitting like this, then a certain part of your body is actually stressed, stretch. So if you change your position, then that will shift it to another part of the body. So move around. Ideally, walk around, take breaks.
Walk around every 1 hour.
That's not always.
Yeah.
May not always be possible, but at least we try.
Well, at least it gives you a reason to refill your cup of water.
Definitely. Now, how does prolonged sitting affect blood circulation and in the legs or feet or any part of our body? And usually, I mean, you can feel it the most in your legs and feet, right?
Yeah, like when we take like a long flight, sometimes our legs
Pins and
get,
needles.
yeah, get a bit like swollen.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
So what happens is that the muscles in the leg are actually working like pumps that sort of like help to recirculate back blood from the legs to the heart.
Oh, because we're not moving.
Yep. And when you are like sort of like just sitting, then the blood will be pulled by gravity downwards. And then when you're not moving, there's no pumping, then what happens is that they are going to get swollen.
Oh, that's what it is. So basically, because you're in a static position, the muscles have to work extra to get the blood up. Is that it? Because they're pumping. What do you?
Yes, when we are walking, like our calves sort of like pumps, and that sort of help to recirculate back.
Okay, but when
blood
we're
to the
staying
heart.
still, it just stays there.
Yep. So it's always good to move around to help with that aspect as well.
You know, I feel that pain whenever I watch in movie theater too. Only for like 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. I'm like, okay, this is not good.
Stay away from Lord of the Rings, girl. 3 hours.
3 hours. Well, pump the calves, that might help a little bit.
Okay, all right.
All right, so are there any specific age-related concerns on the effects of prolonged sitting? Because I understand that when you're younger, probably you have a fitter body, you can condone it less. But I feel like now at 30-something, when I have to study and sit down for a longer amount of time, it's not possible for me anymore to be able to just sit. So it feels not as before when I used to do the 9 to 5, but now I feel it even more and quicker.
On your knees.
No, generally
Oh.
Like the whole body, is it?
the muscle soreness and
Yeah, well, with age, the prevalence of like having sort of like aches and pains and musculoskeletal conditions and other conditions sort of increase. So we should take care of our body since we are young, but then obviously when we age, then we are more likely to have problems like that as well. So yes, there is. And so it's good to try to move around, to change your position, to sort of like manage your work around that so that it doesn't, to reduce the risk of like developing all that.
Yeah, so as you get older, it's just gonna happen to you, I guess.
I guess so.
Okay, so
Tired more quickly.
are there any studies or research findings that highlight the long-term health consequences of prolonged sitting?
Yes, there are actually many because like a lot of people say, like sitting is the new smoking. So, and why is that? Because that is actually quite bad when people study the risk of people who sit for like a prolonged period of time compared to those who are active moving around, then they're at risk of like mortality. They're at higher risk of mortality. They're at higher risk of like things like cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, musculoskeletal pain, especially like the neck, the back, and also the shoulder. So it's actually quite bad. And then to reduce the impact, we can try to be more active in other parts of the day. So things like doing exercises, so cardiorespiratory exercises, strength training, flexibility training, those are all going to help.
So you talked about a couple of exercises now. Before we get to the stretches that we're going to do after the break, when we return, I have one last question. How important does physical activity play? And you've spoken about strength exercises. In order for people who are working in offices and have no other choice perhaps, what kind of muscular strengthening would you recommend, specific areas, so that would help them at least maintain a healthier position while they have to sit?
Well, for that, maybe we can do some, in the office it's probably easier to do things like flexibility and stretches. It might be...
But outside of the office?
Outside of the office, yeah, definitely you can do things like curls, if you don't, that can easily be done at home. Things like bicep curls, exercises for your shoulders, those can easily be done at home. You don't have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You can do that anywhere really. But that will depend on how active you are. So if you have never done any exercises your whole life, then it's probably good to see like a trainer or a physiotherapist to help you get started. But otherwise, there are many things like stretches, things like simple cardiovascular exercises that you can start by yourself.
So shoulder muscles.
Yeah. So we are going to continue speaking to Nicolas Setiabudi, the physiotherapist, with us right here because he's going to show us a couple of stretches that we can do,
Yes.
easy ones, just to get us moving if we've been sitting for a very long time. So see the stories will continue after the break. Be sure to stay tuned with us right here on the 3R News Show and see you today.